Rule 1. Understand the impermanence of life. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." When it comes to emotional attachments, we often cling to our personal perspective of someone, a narrative we create about their significance in our lives. But the reality is that all relationships are transient. One moment you're close, and the next, that connection fades. Whether through distance, death, or gradual change. The Stoic lesson here is to embrace impermanence. Once you accept that no relationship is permanent, you become more conscious of the present moment. Think of it like holding a handful of sand at the beach. The tighter you squeeze, the quicker it slips away. The more we try to possess someone or something, the faster it fades. I once had a friendship that lasted over a decade. We shared everything: dreams, fears, late-night conversations. But over time, things changed. As much as I resisted, the emotional investment I had made felt like a chain, holding me to someone who no longer reciprocated the same connection. It wasn't until I accepted that the friendship had run its course that I could finally release the emotional weight. Marcus Aurelius would have advised, "Things will end, and you will suffer less when they do." Rule 2. Master your emotions through rational thought. There's a tendency to believe that our emotions control us. You feel pain, sadness, or anger when you're emotionally attached to someone. But here's the truth. Emotions are not reality. They are a product of your thoughts, beliefs, and interpretations of events. Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics believe that we are not at the mercy of our emotions. Our emotions are at the mercy of our thoughts. Emotional detachment begins by realizing that your mind has the power to govern your emotional state. Your thoughts about someone can stir up a storm of feelings, or they can calm that same storm. For example, if you're going through a breakup, you may replay conversations in your mind, overanalyzing every detail. But the Stoic response is to shift the focus. What are the facts? How can I think about this differently? Your feelings are not rooted in the event itself, but in how you interpret it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts," meaning your emotions are a direct result of your internal dialogue. When you find yourself spiraling emotionally, pause and challenge your automatic thoughts. Instead of allowing emotions to control you, shift your focus to what you can control, your thoughts and actions. Rule 3. Practice negative visualization. Negative visualization is a practice where you deliberately imagine losing something or someone you care about. At first, this may seem counterproductive, but it's one of the most powerful Stoic tools for emotional detachment. By visualizing the worst-case scenario in advance, you lessen its emotional impact if it ever happens, Marcus Aurelius said. Do not disturb yourself by imagining the whole of your life's troubles at once. Rather, as each arises, meet it with calmness and self-control. Negative visualization helps you prepare mentally for life's inevitable losses. By embracing the discomfort of potential loss, you reduce its power to devastate you when it happens. I practiced this when my best friend considered moving overseas. He'd been inseparable for years, and the thought of being apart filled me with dread. But instead of suppressing that fear, I embraced it. Every day, I visualized what life would be like without them. When they eventually moved, I wasn't blindsided by grief. The loss still stung, but I had already mentally prepared for it. Key takeaway from negative visualization is that loss is a natural part of life. When you stop expecting permanence, the fear of losing it diminishes. This shift in perspective is incredibly freeing, as it allows you to appreciate what you have in the present moment without clinging to it. Rule 4. Focus on what you can control. One of the central teachings of Stoicism is recognizing the distinction between what you can control and what you cannot. Much of the pain we feel in relationships arises from our desire to control things outside of our influence, other people's feelings. For example, Marcus Aurelius repeatedly emphasized the importance of focusing only on what is within our control: our thoughts, actions, and responses. Everything else, other people's behavior, the outcomes of situations, the passage of times beyond our control. The more we try to control what is outside of our influence, the more we suffer. When you deeply attach yourself to someone, whether in a romantic relationship, friendship, or family bond, it's natural to want them to care about you in the same way you care about them. But the hard truth is, you can't control their emotions. The only thing you can control is how you respond to their actions. I once experienced this in a relationship where I constantly felt like I was doing more than my fair share, planning dates, sending thoughtful messages, being emotionally available. But despite my best efforts, it felt like the relationship was always a step behind. When I embraced the stoic principle of focusing only on what I could control, I stopped trying to force a connection and found peace by letting go of the anxiety. Emotional autonomy is about not letting someone else's actions dictate your inner peace. Rule 5. Reflect on the bigger picture. When we're deeply entangled in the emotions of a relationship, it's easy to lose perspective. Stoic philosophy, particularly through the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, encourages us to take a step back and reflect on the grander scheme of things. He often reminded us that our troubles, fears, and desires are fleeting moments in the vastness of time. When you're facing emotional turmoil, ask yourself, will this pain matter in 5 years? This broader viewpoint helps you realize that much of your distress is tied to temporary circumstances. No single person or event should have the power to dominate your emotional well-being. I once went through a painful breakup. It made it feel as if my world was falling apart. For weeks, I fixated on the past, but with time, I allowed myself to zoom out and reflect on the bigger picture. I realized that this person, while important, was not the defining moment of my life. They were a part of my journey, but not my entire story. By seeing things from a larger perspective, I was able to detach emotionally and move forward.